Well, that was the end of the 17th season, the regular season. Let's take a look back and see what happened. Very little changed between the 13th and the 14th week as we wrapped up the regular season. But, of course, that doesn't mean that we don't play for pride. Although most of us have really given up on that years ago. Let's look back and see what happened at the scores and the very little bits that actually affected going forward. Our first game, your commish versus Keith. Probably the most boring game. Maybe the most boring game. I guess it did come down to A.J. Brown on Monday night. So maybe not the most boring game, but it was pretty miserable. Miserable quarterback play, especially when your quarterback goes out early. Defenses were the high scoring player on both teams. It was really a snooze fest. It just changed the playoff seeding, but actually didn't change the playoff schedule at all. They face each other again next week. Our next game, Joe versus Don Chris. This was actually an interesting game. Second highest scoring game. 37 from Jahmyr Gibbs, almost 39 from Puka Nacua. There was some firepower, some fireworks. It was kind of a little more exciting. So Don Chris doesn't make the playoffs, but goes out on a high. He goes out with a win, with the second most points on the week. Joe can feel good despite the loss that his team is actually scoring points as well as he faces a tough matchup in round one against Alex Billy, who we'll talk about here in just a minute. Our next game, our champs against Ian. This was the most interesting of the meaningless games because it really was all the way down to the very end, a little bit of back and forth, but I mean, who would have thought that there was even much of a chance? I love the fact that your champ was so into this game and pulling for another catch from, what's his name? The Eagles guy. I don't pay attention to those guys anymore. Devonta Smith. But half a point between a team that was already locked into the number one and a team that was already out of the playoffs. So the most exciting game that meant absolutely nothing. But whatever. Your reigning champ narrowly avoids back-to-back losses for the very first time this season. But keep in mind, in his last 4 games, he has split them 2-2, but he's only averaged 127 in those 3 games with only 1 good score. 3 of those 4, despite one of them, this last one being a win, 3 of those 4, he didn't break 122. Not a great feeling going into the playoffs, but of course he gets the first round, he gets the bye, so hopefully his team will seesaw up in that second round when he plays his next meaningful game. Our next game, we've got almost an irrelevant game, right? The bottom 2 are 9 and 10, but it was for 9 and 10, and it flipped. So Pancho unfortunately posts another sub 100 score, giving him his the most of anyone this season. Harry actually scores some points, 131. Nice job. Doesn't really matter. It does make a difference, though. We will see. Pancho goes to number 10, and Harry bumps up to number 9. It also made a difference in the overall points points scored. But as you can see, Harry actually had an excellent roster, and unfortunately Pancho did not. Our final game, Alex Billy versus Seth Mike. This was a good game. Highest scoring game total. Highest score on the week from Seth Mike there. Both had a 40-point player on each side. 35 from the kicker. Seriously, I think Brandon Aubrey might end up being like a second or a third round pick next year if our kicking scoring stays the same. But again, high score from Seth Mike. He's got to feel good going into the playoffs. He gets that first round bye, so he doesn't play anybody next week. But his team's been pretty consistent and scoring, so he's got to be pretty excited about that. On the flip side, even though it was a loss, Alex Billy's still in the playoffs, highest losing score of the week, and the second most points, the second highest score of any playoff team this week. So that's going to be a fun one to watch between him and Joe. Expect some points. Hopefully they'll both bring it. Hopefully it will be an exciting game. Now as we look at our standings, there it is. Your reigning champ gets the asterisk. He secures the first round bye we already knew he had, and officially gets that first seed, the number 1 seed, which isn't any different than the number 2 seed, but he gets his asterisk, which we all saw because he is very that sounds bad. Vanity driven. Vanity plate. Your name is like a vanity plate. We'll move on from that. Take a look at our stats. New record for total points scored in a season is now your reigning champ. He sits there. He breaks 2,200 for only the second time in league history. Joe actually came in awfully close at over 2,100. He now has the 4th highest, which means nothing. He doesn't even make the podium. But congratulations to your reigning champ, Aaron. He gets he gets the new high water mark for points scored. And just on the flip side, the final difference between most points against and least points against, it stayed very consistent. Your number 1 and number 10 all the way through ends up at just over 25 points a game different. Somebody should check in on that and see if maybe that's a record or where we are with that, but maybe somebody else. Quick look at our power rankings. Let's go back to the beginning. And this is where we end up. Commission Keith switched spots 4 and 5. DC moves up to 7. Ian drops down to 8. And Joe stays right where he belongs. Let's look at our playoff schedule now. This is actually some exciting news. No losing records in the playoff bracket, the winner's bracket here for the second year in a row. Good on you guys. So we'll see how this progresses through over the next few weeks. We're not going to show the consolation ladder because it doesn't even matter. And as we look ahead to this first round of the playoffs, just remember that if you have a game in the winner's bracket, it obviously matters. If you're in the losing bracket, consolation bracket, your game is absolutely meaningless. They only start to matter next week. Do with that what you will. Enjoy week 15 and round 1 of the playoffs.